Hello, this is Tony Blazier for the Motocross Vault presented by Blinzall. If you're in the market for some high-quality racing oil for your two-stroke or four, make sure you go to blinzall.com and use our discount code VAULT20 to save 20% at checkout. Thank you for all the support. Hello, this is Tony Blazier for the Motocross Vault, and what this video is going to cover is just a look back at my thoughts on the first 4 rounds of the 2022 AMA Supercross Series. I have been enjoying the racing so far this year. It's been really great. Last night was Anaheim 2, and it was by far my favorite track of the year. The track was super fun to watch. There was a lot of really tricky rhythm sections, gnarly whoops. The whoops in general this year have been much tougher than normal, I think. Usually they kind of start out the season a little more mellow, and the tracks, I think, have been very challenging this year for a lot of reasons, whether it's round 1 where it was a little bit soft and ruddy, and then later I think the tracks have been in general pretty good. Oakland wasn't my favorite track, but in general, I think most of these tracks have been really entertaining, and like I said, Anaheim 2 is by far my favorite so far. The racing on the track has been great. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start to the season in the 450 class when you got 4 different winners in the first 4 rounds. Amazingly, we got that last year, which is crazy because that's really an outlier. Typically, that's not what happens in Supercross. You usually have like a couple of guys that kind of take the bull by the horns. Growing up, watching racing in the 80s and the 90s, where really most years it was 2 guys, at least after the mid-80s anyway, when RJ and Wardy asserted themselves, and then later it's McGrath and Emig and a couple of guys. It's great seeing so much parity. You have guys winning one round and then, getting a 10th or something the next. It keeps the points close. I think there's less than 10 points still separating the top 5, which is just awesome. That's great for guys like Cooper Webb, who are definitely having a bit of a tough season so far. I think that KTM might not be quite sorted out yet. They have an all-new bike this year, and I think that's definitely maybe holding them back a little bit. Anytime you make a radical change like that, it's always a bit of a mystery whether you have it just right or not. And going into the season, I wondered if a guy like Justin Barch is bummed out that he doesn't get the new bike. Maybe in hindsight, maybe he's better off. Maybe running on last year's bike that's more sorted is maybe a better choice in that case. But in any case, Cooper's always a guy that tends to figure things out as the season goes along. I think he'll probably eventually get the bike going where he needs it to be, and probably as the season goes on, he'll be one of the top guys. Typically, that's what happens. You have a lot of mix-up in the early season, and then eventually the cream rises to the top. And right now, I think that's, you guys like Chase Sexton, looks like he's legit. Certainly, Jason Anderson has to be the absolute surprise of the season for me. Jason, won in 2018, and it wasn't like he was really dominant that year. It was more like a case where a lot of the other guys had issues, and Jason was consistent and took that title. It wasn't like he was McGrath in 93 or something. And since then, he's been kind of, meh. Certainly one of the faster guys, but I wouldn't say any other year I thought he was really a threat for the title. But this year, he seems legit. He won, I think it was round 2. Probably could have won round 3. Maybe it's hard to say if his bike didn't have a problem. Certainly had a shot at winning last night. They didn't make that mistake in the corner. He's been really, really fast at every round and very impressive. And I would love to see Jason win. Anytime you make these big switches to a different team, whether it's Eli Tomac to Yamaha or Jason to Kawasaki, again, it's a big mystery. It's kind of like when they come out with an all-new bike, maybe even more so because you're changing all the personnel as well as the motorcycle. And it seems that these moves have worked out so far. Eli's getting faster. He won last night. Very impressive. It's great for Yamaha. Yamaha, for so many years, really since they switched to the reverse motor, has struggled. They've had kind of a tough reputation there in terms of the handling of that motorcycle. Certainly everybody knows it's fast, but the different way the chassis is built and stuff may not be ideal at times, and all that motor power sometimes I think upsets the chassis dynamics as well. They've struggled to get it right, and Star seems to have been able to figure out stuff that the factory team wasn't able to. With Dylan Ferrandis and Eli, they're up front and showing that Yamaha can win, and I am pumped for Yamaha in that case. I've always been a big Yamaha fan. I've had many of them over the years, and I'm glad to see them up front again. Dylan, I think he has the speed to win, but he has definitely not got to figure out these starts. The bad starts, outdoors you get 30 minutes plus 2. You got plenty of time to make up for that. Indoors, man, you can't start 10th every week unless you're Jeremy McGrath in 94 and think you're going to win. These guys are too fast. There's too much traffic and all these things that can happen in the back of the pack. And Dylan's going to have to get a top 3 or 4 start, I think, if he's going to win this. I think if he has a good start, he could win, but I think he's not going to be able to keep getting these crappy starts and think he's going to pull to the front every week. Chase has been very fast, very exciting to watch. I love his style. He reminds me a lot of David Bailey. If you look at him ride, he's got a beautiful riding style, certainly one of the most fluid riders on the track. Him and Kenny, maybe the best looking 1-2 punch on the track in terms of their riding style. Great looking on the bike and really fast. Chase probably could have won, probably should have won maybe round 1. He ended up getting, I think, round 3 was the one he won, and he's been up front. He got another podium last night. Very impressive. I don't know that I'd call him necessarily a title threat yet, just because young guys tend to make mistakes more. But yeah, maybe if he can keep away from those yard sale crashes he's had in the past, he might be able to take this all the way to the end. I think it's still anybody's game. Eli obviously has the points lead. His win last night certainly puts him in a great position. But with so many guys so close, like I said, Cooper's still not out of this. Jason Anderson's shown he's going to be a legitimate threat. You have Cooper, Webb, as I said. I don't know about Kenny. Kenny's reaction last night, getting taken out by Jason, was a bummer deal. Obviously, I'm a Kenny fan, so I wasn't really loving that. I like close racing. I hate to see guys go down, but Kenny's reaction to it afterwards was strange. I don't know if it didn't look like that bad of a crash. Maybe he had some sand in his goggles, but the fact that he had such a hard time getting back to the front, you always wonder, Kenny sometimes seems to have something go wrong and then it just kind of falls apart. And I don't know if it's a mental thing. Obviously, I'm projecting there. I don't know. But I was bummed out to see that I think he got a 13th or something, which is definitely not what he needs to be in the threat for the title. And it's not like Kenny is the guy that's going to come on at the end of the season like a Cooper Webb. He typically has his great finishes early on and he's kind of hanging on at the end. So I would say all bets are probably off on Kenny taking this title at this point, because typically, again, he actually has more trouble as the year goes on. These early rounds are where he shines, and it's been one great race and then some other mediocre finishes, so I'm not so sure about Roczen. In the 250 class, bummed out to see Colt Nichols go out and Swole took out, although it turns out I don't know if Jalik would have been like a title threat in any case, but I've been bummed out to see some of the top contenders go out, but Jet Lawrence didn't even start. But Christian's been really fast, great racing by him. He had a really close call yesterday, or I guess day before last on press day. Ate it pretty bad, and he's lucky to come away not injured. That's been obviously Christian's thing. He's always been super fast, but had trouble with injuries. And I think if he stays on two wheels, he has this title probably. He's clearly the best guy. Mostman, though, has been very, very fast as well. I think he certainly could take a few more races. And if Christian has any kind of problem, he's right there. For me, the real surprise has been Vince Friese, which, say what you will about Vince, obviously he's known for blocking and being a little overly aggressive on the track. A lot of guys don't like the guy, but he has been legit fast. He has been so good for Moto Concepts. He's got them on TV. He's got a lot of TV time for them. And let's be honest, blocking is part of racing. I mean, if you're fast enough to run up front, maybe not quite fast enough, as long as you're not doing cheesy stuff like cutting over in the air on people, I have no problem with it. Emig was known, in his career for blocking the crap out of people, probably more than Vince, so people still love him. So Vince has been really impressive. I mean, again, he might have got a podium last night if he didn't crash. That whole wreck with Shimoda was pretty ugly. I'm sure he probably rung his bell on that one, but hopefully he'll be up front. I know, again, there's probably a lot of hate out there, but I'm really impressed with him. He's way faster than I expected, and legit threat to at least get top 3 in these rounds with the starts he gets. The 250 class overall has been pretty not as good as the 450s. Christian clearly is a step above everybody. Mosman's been fast. Shimoda's been disappointing. I don't know what's going on with him. He's definitely not as fast as he was last year, so far at least. I think he's kind of riding over his head at times and seems to keep crashing. But overall, you have to think this year's been great. I certainly hope it keeps going. I love motocross. It's so great having Supercross back, and it's awesome series so far. Let's only hope it keeps going. I'd love to know what everybody else thinks about the racing so far. It's been an amazing series, and I hope it keeps going. Who do you think is going to win? Let me know in the comments below. I'd say if I had to put my money on somebody, it's probably Eli at this point, but I think maybe 50-50 Eli or Cooper. I think Cooper Webb's going to get it sorted out, and I think he'll probably come on at the end of the series, and eventually some of these other guys, maybe like a Chase or some of the other dudes that seem to be more inconsistent traditionally, probably fall by the wayside, and Cooper typically gets a little better. So I think it's going to be a good rest of the season, and I hope you all have a great day, and let me know what you think. Peace.